down in the 20s, well, like right exactly where you need to be to qual to regional vitals, or you might get relegated to LCQ. So I'm watching out for that team in particular going into this map.
Yeah, well, you better lock it in because that average is sitting at 8, but it's time for drop number 3. Let's get into the plane, guys.
Folks, welcome to map number 3. We're almost halfway done somehow. A third of the way, certainly, into this one. Halfway, 6 total maps. Here we go. Dropping in a little bit different plane line this time around. And, well, I've been waiting for this circle here, Tip. We've been waiting on the northeastern pole. We're looking at maybe a North Old Town, South Military Base. Maybe your favorite pop-off, Tip. I don't know.
Hey, you never know where we're gonna go, but for Enigma out there cracking the code for Team Fuzz, and as they like to land in Saravan City, they're gonna have to hit that major northeastern rotation. But let's check in with our squad here, Team Physic on the screen. Now we're starting to think of what does that fringe squad look like? Where are you not going to be safe at? This squad currently sitting around 15th place, and well, we'll check in with them later because we have a hot drop squad number 28 on the opposing side, and well, I feel like we've seen this before, Ghosh.
Yeah, we certainly have. Huncho, this team currently in top 10, looking pretty solid, but definitely not out of the weeds yet. You got to make a move up inside the top 20, certainly, but they don't have enough points yet to just say, oh, you're going to make it. Keep that pressure up, and it's exactly what they're going to try to do. We've got 2 players left alive for this team, but they have a knock, so they're going to make a play for the fight. Quick pre-fire gets a couple quick shots. They would love to clean one up. Not great ground loot to work with, though. This is the nature of the game when you're fighting early game. You got to use every weapon at your disposal, every piece of equipment at your disposal, and an LMG close range apparently proving successful.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're gonna grab that Bruin right off the rip, it does shoot marshmallows. There's only 1 attachment on it, so it is literally just ground loot, but it's gonna be better at this close to mid-range than maybe that sniper would have been a bigger chance there. Grabs the Semtex, but if I'm the last standing member of Team 28, Zeet on the opposing side, I kind of want to get out of dodge, but I also don't want to lose my life in the process. But Huncho here just reads it, chucks the C4 through the window, and connects. And here we go, up to the roof, still lying in wait. There goes the knock. Another team member from them will be flying on in. I'd elect to say they're not going to land back here.
Huncho with the reads. I mean, he pulled out his library card. He's going to mark his team and see what he can get some info on his opponents. But that was wild to know and just be watching centered on that top shelf was sick. But back to another early encounter we go. And again, all of these incredibly valuable for these teams to find success. If you get shoved back on your heels early, it's so difficult to restabilize in a full lobby of 120 players like this. And Be Groovy, another team we expected to be near the top of this leaderboard, in a bit of trouble, and they're not going to take any risks here with Jamba and Bino, all 3 alive, hanging out, waiting on their opponents.
Yeah, they're inside the top 10 right now, but on the opposing side, we have Team Only sitting in 24th overall on that leaderboard with 12.2 points. Now, granted, that's good enough for advancing onto the last chance qualifier, but not to get into the finals directly. Looks like Huncho's squad does return to send Team Revolt into the gulag. But let's check in. Blau, Oxa on the screen here. Over in Farms, we've got Infernal, Diablo, and co. Opposing side here. And we do at least have the Car 98 in our hands, but we're already focusing our attention elsewhere.
Yeah, we'd love to hit these for the Twitter timeline. And well, okay, yeah, we'll break plates. We take those. A couple extra resources spent their direction. But yeah, Farms is an interesting draft spot. I think at first look at Urzikstan, a lot of people don't love this side of the map on the far side of Farms because you have essentially your POI and you either have to go all the way up to military or you have to cross the river into Lowtown. It's a really difficult rotation, frankly. But with the zone circle that we have, it's not a bad spot to hang out in. You actually could get a zone pull here for the next couple circles, especially if you can clear out Farms and you have it entirely to your lonesome. It feels pretty good. Now, it's going to be tough. Player advantage, numbers definitely not in their favor. Team 19 on the other side, all 3 alive, just looking for an opening fight. See if they can grab one, grab a knock, and then move on the merry way as we swing back over. Some hot drops. Showstopper on the outside of Suburbs, putting on a show for us. A great team wipe with AJ, but the job's not done. Looks like another team from distance picking them up.
Yeah, and there's also going to be Team Toyor in that vicinity, so we'll have to see if they get gate kept. We'll check in there. We got Team Sani for the time being. Over in Rostava Shops is going to be on that northwestern side, trying to hit that rotation into power. But when you've got the majority of our squads in the nearby area, we do need to get out of here. But for now, I'd love to check in to hear what Enigma's got to say, considering we do have quite an interesting zone pool.
Yeah, so I love the fact that Gold brings it up nice and early. We do have ourselves this extremely northeastern circle, and a lot of teams that I've been speaking to through this week have said about how their landing spots aren't adapted to those circles. So it's going to be interesting to see how various teams plays out. But one for sure to talk about is again going back to Melvin, Pentagon, and Fozzen, who are landing down around here. Now, the thing is, like, if you have only one landing spot, of which Melvin, Pentagon, and Co said they have multiple, then they might be okay. But if they have decided to play down here, then you've got to cross not only this entire region here through suburbs, through water, and then through potentially Old Town, or take a long northern route. So I'm looking at this side here, this Pentagon squad, to then do more and find themselves a different spot to play out from.
Okay, Enigma popping in with some extra intel. W's in the chat for Enigma. I know a lot of our EMEA folks love me some Enigma, and I'm right there with them. Great shout there from Enigma with this crazy circle we've got going. And I was taking a quick look at our map, and I gotta say, Team Wars is all the way in the far northeastern corner, right on the tip of military, just biding their time. And I believe they're in an encounter here shortly with a couple teams trying to do the same. So you can see them getting actually the wipe against Millsy there, and now they're gonna have a long time all hanging out by themselves. So let's keep seeing who else is gonna be rotating in. This is actually squad 40. This team barely made it in, Tiff. That well, they've got a long way to go. They're on the outside of Popov. Have to go all the way through Popov Power if it ends up pulling to military.
Yeah, they definitely do have their work cut out for them, especially when you've got Team Marcus on that next entry of threat. They're opposing them here. Now, the tough part about this is that Marcus squad won a ton of those maps in that lower round one, completely annihilated that entire series, if I do say so myself. Now, granted, we need to see some of that energy here. They found themselves inside the top 20, but only in 14th place. So, not safe by any means.
Yeah, and again, we really look at that 50 to 54 point metric as what you got to get to if you want to make it to... Oh, okay. Well, you know what happens when you blow up a C4 in your face? I think you usually get knocked. Those things are deadly. Even if you misplay them, that's very frustrating, especially getting cleaned up. So I can only imagine tfue gonna have a really difficult time trying to rotate in on this one. We can count this one a full team wipe, even with the PDS in pocket. See you later, and shout out to Scuffology. This is a really strong team, frankly, Tiff. I'm really excited to see them step back up in the latter half of this event. Again, 21st means they were first in the lower bracket, and frankly, it wasn't close at all. Shout out to Gio for calling out this German trio. They had 134 points in the lower bracket round one. Second place was 96. Like, that's some crazy score lines and spreads. They need to lock it back in, though, and make sure they make regional finals.
Yeah, they really do. For now, we're already seeing teams try to get across the water into Old Town. That's going to be one of the biggest rotations and a hurdle this early on. There's still at least 8 to 9 teams from that pop-off power side, but the majority of our teams have already made it over to military. For now, Melvin on the opposing time down there in the bottom right, trying to hang on and going big.
Come on, Melvin. All right. Show me what's going on, Melvin. That's some wild gunplay. 1v2 and wins it. Talk about that team. Team Fuzzin in second place, just outside of our kind of 54, if you can call it that, metric to qualify for regional finals. But we know they're going to get kills. Really no problem at all. So watch out for this team as they continue to harry and mess up some of the other squads trying to make the qualifier. This is what, I mean, they're just moving at a different speed than most of these teams.
Sometimes you just have to, especially because you want to advance on to finals. You don't want to go to the last chance qualifier. But for now, we'll just have to see what that early action in military base is going to look like. We're still at 33 squads up, not even into the points multiplier yet. And honestly, I can imagine that this team is looking to unseat for individual kills on the player as well, because right now, Wars is holding that with 20 eliminations.
Yeah, that's a great shout on the elimination side, because it does feel like Fuzzin's team's been kind of ruining the day that they were sent to lower bracket and enacting their revenge here on main stage. But you're right, Wars' team is on top by a sizable margin. It's because of kills and placement, so watch out for that team. Crystal Shots also having a great day today, but we continue to swing around to these teams on the edge of zone, fighting for their lives on a hilltop. This feels like something out of Lord of the Rings. I mean, we are just traversing these hills, trying to hunt down our quarry. Is Pro Orson the Urks? Oh, wow, swoop down. Here we go. Push the fight. Orcs go down. Bows, guns, everything in between. Let's get a full team wipe, really not losing anything but a couple bullets to one player.
Yeah, it's a big deal for Team Tremze on your screen. Came in from upper bracket 31st there, but currently situated in last on the leaderboard with only just minimal points prior to drop number 3. And if we're starting to string together some eliminations, maybe the first 2 were just, okay, maybe we had some bad luck, rotations didn't go our way, but we're all 3 up, we're all alive, and we found ourselves on that southeastern side of zone. Now, granted, there is a squad in their nearby vicinity, multiple, and it'll be tough, but Starbrook, who has had really solid moments, especially in drop number 2, Ghosh, I'm excited to see what they do here now.
Yeah, and again, this team did pretty well through our group stages, but frankly struggled in the upper bracket. 34th out of 40 teams in the upper bracket, but today, 4th overall going into this map, and jockeying there with Vieiro, who won our first map for our top 5 positions. And now, frustratingly, Donathan just stretched a bit too far ahead of the rest of his team, and so they have to back up and rethink about what they want to do here, potentially hit a buy, get him right back into the mix so they have that player advantage going into future fights. But back to the hills we go, back to Isengard, up into the air, looking for a couple more eliminations. These are what we like to call freebies, if you can track them down, as looks like a couple portable buys out here on the outer edges of this zone. Should help a couple teams at least have some players to work with going into the last couple circles here. I feel like we're already nearing end game, but we just now are getting the 4th circle, and it's because of this crazy zone pull that Enigma was talking about in that northeastern side. It is just so dramatic towards military that we're seeing wild rotations of people journeying across the entirety of Urzikstan.
And the journey's not done. Tremze is not going to be able to be safe here. Now, you do have Toyor's squad just above them, and they're starting to work their rotation directly mirroring them, which is interesting because you look where you have to go. We're going far north, baby, and I'm not looking for that disciple spawn on the water, even though I had to do that for my camos. We're going up that way. And I love that squad number 5 is already up there. Team B groovy. They needed a good showing. They had a little bit of issues throughout our mid game, but have decided post regain to go as far north as humanly possible, and I wouldn't be shocked if we saw more teams start to go for water plays.
Yeah, I saw Team Chow already situated on docks up there on the outside of military. Team Wars dropped, and well, Squad 8 in trouble, but making some heroic plays for trades, and with mortars falling on their head, they're just trying to stay alive. I'm not sure they'll get this res, but still somehow right on the outside edges of the map, fighting for their lives and trying to take down Caspian. Quick find, plates knocked, and should be able to grab the full knock and the full kill here shortly if he doesn't make a huge mistake. And luckily, this team doing what they should be doing, which is all 3 pushing. Don't make the same mistake as Wars earlier. Don't push by yourself. Find one, use your entire team to knock them down.
Well, speaking of finding, Toyor found himself in the gulag alongside Melvin. Rope comes down. We're going to cut the distance in half, and Chow straight in the center does win out. That must mean they found a lot of issues on their rotation towards military base. What? And wow, that was a little too close for comfort there. But so far, 2 out of 2 gulag wins there.
Hitfire go crazy. I respect it. Hey, good centering. Sometimes it just works. Well done. We'll see if they can restabilize going into the latter half of this map. Again, end of this map, we are halfway through this competition. Some teams will have already booked their ticket to the regional finals, which is in a couple days. Some teams still have a lot of ground to make up, and maybe you're jockeying for LCQ. You're near the bottom of this leaderboard. You got to get top 32. High ground we go. Windows we hang out in, and this is a great spot to be in, frankly, here in military base. You have a giant building all to yourself. The question is, will you get the zone pull? As we see Toyor, apparently they've restabilized and sandwiched between a couple teams, but looking decent.
So far, so good. I know we just got to check in with Team Codwell just prior to this. They're sitting in 32nd place on the leaderboard. So still alive and just into that 1.2x multiplier. But for Team Toyor, we've got to hold on. We've got a couple neighboring squads, specifically the team to their north. That's going to be Team Tony White, your map 2 winners, but back on board with Cams, who's yeeting these C4s out, trying to find some damage.
Again, a top 5 team, very strong team thus far. Really showcasing their skills here on main stage after frustratingly barely missing out on regional finals through upper. They're here to prove that they shouldn't be here, as are a lot of these teams. But you're right, Tony White just on the other side. Big Tony looking to go back-to-back. A team that certainly plays for placements, but a quick look at the map, you can see where all the teams need to go to. Team 2 on the right-hand side on the edge of zone are going to clear a path likely either out into the water or straight forward. That's Team Wars at the top of your leaderboard. They dropped their TIF. They've been there since the beginning of this game, and now they're just finally being pushed into the next circle.
That's tough, right? Because if you land there, I mean, you won't be able to pick up as many eliminations till the end game. But for Team Tremze on your screen, this is dire for them. 2 eliminations for in here. And we were looking for some angles with the Car 98, but unfortunately just getting so red, the jump coming through. We'll have to see what this team can do as a duo, but it just seems like they've got too much attention on them. Team Fuzzin now starting to inch towards them, as well as some others.
Yeah, tuna sandwich, club sandwich. It's a massive, whatever type of sandwich you prefer, as this team is getting obliterated by 2 squads shoving into them, and then quickly the other team runs away as well, as Fuzzin just goes on a tear, ripping anything that moves off the ground, out of the air, and everything in between. Look at this rotation. Pentagon, Melvin, Fuzzin wiping everything in their path, smoking their way into the next zone, saying we play aggressive, we play edge, but we always make it into this circle. Top 22 still left as they go charging into the building.
I was going to say, how is In still alive? We saw him with minimal HP, gets into the building, but just like that, Team Fuzzin, 3v1, there's just not much you can do, and they finally find an open building to play from, but you do have Team Cams over here trying to shoot out this team's trophy systems that were in that cargo container. Not going to be important there for Pentagon and Melvin and Fuzzin. They'll be fine for now, but they have a lot of gatekeeping to do. Ketama's squad in the distance. That's going to be team only. Paxor's squad rotating in now. But for Lost, on 2 eliminations, once more can find them here.
Yeah, Pentagon and Fuzzin, they went early. 2 teams swirling around them. Lost Cams might be able to help them out a little bit by throwing some bullets down range to weed out their opponents. But it actually gives Pentagon and Fuzzin the advantage in some of these fights if anybody pushes into that building. But everyone want to get further. They want to get to the next zone. They want to prepare for what's next. And a massive fight. Lost 1, 2. Can I get a third? No. Almost is able to wipe an entire team. And what? Gets cleaned up. We might get a self-res off. We might stay alive. Team Cam's still up and no longer barely breathing. Somehow the self-revive comes through. We're going to get a quick listen in with, I believe, Team Lost after a heroic play to save his teammate, and now 2 up.
Andere Seite, pass auf, Vorsicht. Passt ein Smoke. Wir müssen nach rechts Wasser, ich schwöre.
Okay, ich habe eine Smoke gleich.
Wann hast du die? Wann hast du die?
3 Sekunden ungefähr.
Ich habe noch einen Cluster, ne, aber bringt da nichts.
Nee, die sind im Fenster.
Jetzt hab.
Smoke.
Auf Blue?
Na hier, wir gehen zu Blue.
Okay, hab.
Kommt hier lang, komm.
Yep.
Geh tief.
Ich habe keine Smoke mehr.
Da ist ein
Ich habe
Container.
eine wieder.
Da ist ein Container, hier ist ein Container. Dings darf euch nicht sehen. Warte, hier. Ich glaube, hier ist gut. Guck mal, wo ich bin.
Ja.
Wir sind in Zone. Wir brauchen Top 10, okay?
Wir sind nicht in der Zone, by the way.
Ja, wir gehen gleich hier. Mach Use und guck, wo safe ist.
Ich kann nicht usen. Jetzt.
Ey, wir brauchen ein Safe Haus.
Ganzes Team links neben uns sind.
Guck mal hinter uns, das ist ein Haus.
Wo, welches Haus denn ist?
Markier.
Leider viele welche kommen hier ab. Da noch welche kommen.
Wie viele sind da drin, Maven?
All right, folks, we're back, and those were German comms, which means Pentagon, Melvin, Fuzzin, That's the team we were listening into, and they got a great rotation around through the water to stay alive. So good comms across the board for them. Seem calm, cool, and collected. Good small talk. But as we take a look at the rest of the team still in the circle, see some of our top teams going big. Louisiana Bubble Wars all alive in one of the biggest buildings left inside the circle. You see on the right-hand side, that's Chow that's been in that building for a while. And well, unfortunately, Big Tony's coming in with the Car 98 to the head, Chow.
That's Chow. Then we see Chow fall. Tony White falls. It's the obligatory caster curse. For now, Impacts and Slayers, they had that heroic clutch up in drop number 2. Can they do so again here in map number 3? However, we do have Team Wars that are inside that main building, reigning supreme on it. Now, they had to fight extensively to take that hold, and Wars was able to team wipe an entire squad, finishing it off, of course, with none other than the C4. But for Impacts, you see that circle pull come through. We just have to work further south, but Team Wars is also going to be right there.
I gotta say, Tiff, Big Tony, he won last map. If he could go back-to-back with 2 players, this could be monumental for their game. Even with a map victory, they're in 19th right now. They are right on the fringe with our live leaderboard. They've got to lock in, and they're able to do so to find Fuzzin', but they gotta get Pentagon. Can we get the trade? No, Slayers is down. Impact, please, go big. Finish off one of the teams above you. Stay alive. This is huge. You gotta get top 5, and I think his teammates are shouting at him, don't chow, don't chow. Let the other teams kill each other. We have to get top 5 for that 1.8x multiplier. There are 6 teams left, and we've got 1 player left for Tony White's team. We got 1 player left for Pentagon, and Pentagon is staying alive with a PDS in zone, trying to get an early rotation potentially to just get to top 5. And finally, we get it. And who falls in 6th? It's Impact. Tony White's out of here in 6th place. Pentagon just barely makes to 5th as we get to 4.
Javix picks up another. That gives him 8 eliminations, but now the numbers are not going to be in your favor. Can you hide out of line of sight? Team Wars is going to be the last one to make a play. There goes the bunker buster, but the push comes in. 1v2 against Chow and Vida, and we are just going to make a Hail Mary play. Unfortunately, it doesn't pan out.
The Spanish go down in 4th with Cams, but a massive effort, but job's not done. Wars is on 10. He falls. We're down to still 3 teams as we've got 1 player left alive across the board, and it's Bubble all the way on the other side of the map. Gonna have to play hero to win a 1v3. I can't imagine it happens. We get the kill, we get the elimination, and we get the victory. Team Wars 2nd place. Almost a heroic play, but unfortunately can't get the job done. Definitely enough to make it, but it goes down to Prido, Cod, and Polo to grab the victory. With all 3 up, Tiff, again, player advantage always so key in the final circle.
It's very imperative you want to stack things in your favor for that end game. And honestly, getting a hold of where that circle pull does start to shift. I can't wait to run it back with that last stand to see just how chaotic this got. Because at this point in time, we're sitting at just under 10 teams. It immediately goes down to 6, and the frantic, oh, I need 1.8x multiplier starts to ensue. Team Cavs there left Javix on that southern side. That's number 4 on the map, is just going for the early rotate, and you see Pentagon trying to do the same on the eastern side, and that's where you got that isolated 1v1 for Javix to pick up an elimination. Now every kill is worth 1.8 at this point for the teams.
Yeah, this was such a massive moment. Look at Team 18. This is the team that wins it all. And again, player advantage. They have all 3 alive, but they also have the best position in zone. They've got great cover. They're inside the circle. No one can chow them from angles because of the position of where they are in relation to Bubble and Wars' building. And so because of that, Bubble and Wars make the rotation onto Chow on the right-hand side to try to grab some easy knocks, because that team doesn't have the cover needed to take them out. But Bubble gets hit, knocked in the gas, then makes a heroic play with a self-revive to take down Vida, or at least push him into the other team, and down goes both players, and a big win here from Squad 18. Let's take a quick look at their victory moment and hear the reactions to the win.
Tengo PDP aquí delante. Dale. Voy por derecha ya.
Me cago en la puta. He dicho. Confiamos, hostia, confiamos, hostia.